So business credit cards are kind of complicated, from knowing about who can get them, how they're going to impact your credit score, how to get a higher limit on them. There's kind of a lot to know about business credit cards. So in this video, what we're going to do is kind of compress all of the key information you need to know about business credit cards into one concise package that you can take. You can know everything you need to know, and you can move through the world and take full advantage of the amazing perks that business credit cards have to offer, including interest-free loans, building your business's credit, and my personal favorite, that's going to be free travel. Plus, if you stick around until the end, I'm going to show you a big mistake that a lot of people make when they're starting to get a business credit card for the first time that results in them not actually building their business's credit. So if you don't do this thing, your business isn't going to have a credit file and you're not going to be building your business's credit even if you do get a business credit card. So definitely stick around for that. Gently tap the like button for the YouTube algorithm, and let's get into everything you need to know about getting a business credit card for the first time. Now, the first question that a lot of people are going to have when it comes to business credit cards is like, what kind of business do I need to get a business credit card? Okay, do I need to have like a brick and mortar business? Do I need to be legally registered? Can I just like be in my garage, like just like on my computer, you know? And the real answer to that is as long as you have revenue, you can apply for business credit cards. Okay, that's the hurdle you got to get over. If you don't have any revenue, you can't get any business cards. But if you are, say, a 1099 employee somewhere, that means you're an independent contractor, you can totally apply for a business credit card. If you have any kind of side business, you got a blog, you got a YouTube channel, you got any kind of revenue coming in anywhere, you can definitely apply for a business credit card. You don't have to be a legally registered LLC. You can apply as a sole proprietor, which is the default status if you do not incorporate as a official company. So you don't need to be incorporated to get a business credit card. Now, when it comes to how a business credit card actually impacts your credit, this is really important, okay? Because it's very different from a personal credit card, and it's going to vary from bank to bank. Okay, so this is kind of important as well, is to do a little bit of research into your particular bank, but we're going to cover kind of the main points right here. So most of them are not going to report to the personal credit bureaus. Okay, so like your TransUnion, your Experian, and your Equifax. Those are your three credit bureaus for your personal credit. Okay, that's where your credit report's at. These cards do not report to those credit bureaus for the most part. There are two notable exceptions. Those are going to be Discover and Capital One. These two are going to report to the personal credit bureaus, but if you're not getting a business credit card from one of these two guys, it's not going to report to them. So what does that mean? That means your utilization, your credit utilization, it's not going to be impacted by these cards. The credit limit is not going to add to your available credit, and what you use on them is not going to show on your personal credit report. The number of accounts is not going to go up. So on my Credit Karma, it'll say that I have, I think, 8 credit cards, but in reality, I've got closer to 15, but a lot of them are business cards, so they don't show up on my personal reports. The only exception to that is your inquiry. Okay, so when you apply for a business credit card, they're going to pull your personal credit report. Okay, and we're going to talk about that in a little bit, why they got to do that, but they're going to pull your personal credit report. When they do that, the inquiry is going to show up on your personal credit report. Okay, so you're going to get the little ding for the inquiry, but that's the only impact that it's going to have on your personal credit report. Now, where they do report, okay, because they don't report on your personal credit file, but they do report on your business credit file, and there are 3 credit bureaus that hold those credit files or credit reports or whatever. And that's going to be Dun & Bradstreet, that's going to be Experian, and that's going to be Equifax. So Experian and Equifax, you already know those two, but Dun & Bradstreet, that's a very different one. So we're going to talk about those in a little bit and how to actually open your account with these bureaus, but that's what you got to know in terms of the reporting side of things. So they're not going to report on your personal, again, unless it's Capital One or Discover. Now, some other ones are going to report like some stuff, but not other stuff. So some of them will only report the good stuff or only report the bad stuff. And so really you just got to like Google like, for example, Chase Bank business credit cards reporting to personal credit file or whatever. Just Google that and you'll find an article kind of detailing what you need to know. If you're having any trouble, I'll totally do the research for you. If you just drop your bank name in the comments below, I'll do some digging for you because this is what I love to do. But that's the reporting side of things. Now, in terms of credit limits, this is a question that a lot of people have, is like, how are the credit limits going to look compared to business, compared to personal? And in my experience, I've got like roughly the same amount of business and personal credit cards, but my limits on my business cards are about 2 times higher than my limits on my personal cards. And that's even after lowering the limits on a lot of my business cards because the limits were just getting too high compared to my income, where I was worried that I wasn't going to be able to keep getting approved for more cards because my limits were just too high. So in my experience, it's a lot easier to get approved for a lot more credit with your business. And that's because you don't just factor in your income, but they're factoring in your personal income and your business revenue. Okay. So say your business is pulling in a lot of revenue, but like profit margin wise, it doesn't turn into a lot of income for you. Like you're going to get, they're looking at the revenue number basically. So that can be really advantageous for you if you're pulling in a lot of revenue for your business. Maybe you're running like a Facebook ads agency and you're getting a ton. You could count your ad spend. Potentially, you could count that as revenue. Again, I'm not your tax advisor, so don't take that as advice or anything. But you could potentially count that ad spend as revenue as well. So you can potentially get this revenue number pretty high, and that's going to incentivize the banks to extend you more money. And because of that, they're also looking at your debt to income ratio, okay? And so when your income and your revenue combined is higher, then your debt to income ratio is lower, and they're going to be willing to give you more debt, okay? So little bit on that. But in terms of getting approved for higher credit limits, I'm going to make a video tomorrow on how to get approved for business cards, and that's really going to dive deeper into how to make sure you're getting approved for the highest limit possible. Next question a lot of people have is about personal liability. So we mentioned this a little bit at the beginning, but when you're getting a credit card, a business credit card for the first time, your business has no credit. So the bank would be very silly to just give your business a credit card and say, oh, your business is responsible for this card. And if your business goes under, then it's no big deal. Okay, they're going to make you sign a personal guarantee because your business hasn't proven itself. Maybe it's only been around for a couple months, okay, and it has no track record. So they're going to have you sign a personal guarantee. This is going to be pretty standard across the board. If you've got a very well-established business that's been in business for multiple years, you've gotten multiple loans from the bank, you've got multiple credit cards, maybe at that point you won't have to sign a personal guarantee, but that is like way down the line from where you're likely at right now if you're watching this video, okay? So maybe down the line. But what you're going to want to look for in the terms, the fine print of the card that you're applying for, is commercial liability versus joint and several liability, okay? And basically what this distinction means is if you're signing for commercial liability, that means it's all on the business. There's no personal guarantee. They can't, it's not a recourse loan for you personally, okay? If it's joint and several liability, that means you and the business are going in together, and if the business can't pay, then you are expected to pay. So make sure to look for that, but 99 times out of 100, it's going to be joint and several liability unless you have a very well-established business with a very long track record of borrowing money in the past. So that's pretty straightforward. Yeah, I mean, you're going to sign a personal guarantee is really the gist of that. In terms of accounting, okay, this is very important with business credit cards, okay? One of the main perks to getting a business credit card is being able to separate your business and your personal spending, okay? If you're running a business and you're not separating your personal and business spending, you don't have separate accounts for these things, you are making life so much more difficult for yourself. Like, not in the short term, but in the long term. Because there's so many things that could happen that would just make your life so terrible if you're not splitting these things up. The biggest one is being audited, okay? And obviously nobody expects to be audited, but it happens to more people than you'd expect. And if it happens to you and you're not separating your expenses, your personal and your business, your life is going to suck a lot. So make sure that you are separating these things. So before you even get a business credit card, I would recommend opening up a business checking account, okay? Just going down to whatever bank you bank with and getting the free business checking account that has no minimums, no fees, no nothing, and just setting one of those up, okay? Because you should, if you bank with a big bank, they should have a free option. I bank with US Bank and they've got a free option, so I just use that. But make sure you've got one of these because you want to make sure that this money is totally separate. And one, it's good for taxes and reporting and whatnot if you do get audited. Two, it's good for deductions, okay? If you are running a business, you're likely going to be wanting to take advantage of a lot of tax deductions because there's a ton of tax deductions for business owners. And if you've got these things separated, it's going to be so easy for you to just go in and be like, okay, I spent this much on marketing, I spent this much on supplies, this much on equipment, blah, blah, blah. Way easier, okay? Like my first year running online businesses, I was not splitting things up and my life was terrible come tax season, okay? But now that I split things up and it's very easy for me to just go in and be like, okay, this is how much I spent on this is how much I spent on that. Way easier, okay? So make sure that you're separating things. It's so important because yeah, if you're commingling stuff, that like it ruins one of the main advantages of having a business, okay? Like in the US, like one of the big advantages of having a business is you're separating your personal assets and your business assets, okay? Because if your business goes under, you don't want them to be able to come for your personal assets, okay? That's why you set up the business in the first place. But if you're commingling these things, then it's very easy for someone to bring a lawsuit against you and say, hey, I'm suing your company, but your assets were so commingled here that we're just gonna come for your stuff too. So there's so many reasons. I could make a whole video about why you should be separating your business and your personal expenses, but just please, I beg of you, please do it. Open a business checking account. They're free, and it's going to make your life a lot easier. Second to last thing, and then we're going to get into what I promised you about how to open your business credit file for the first time, is consumer protections. Okay, this is like a brief thing I just want to touch on, but it's important to keep in mind that the consumer protections that exist with personal credit cards do not transfer over to business credit cards. And what that means is there was this piece of legislation passed in 2009 called the Credit Card Act. And what this basically was a piece of legislation that protects consumers from predatory banking practices. Okay, so banks can't take advantage of you in a lot of ways, including really predatory fee structures and raising interest rates without warning you and things of that nature. So basically with personal credit cards, you've got all these guarantees and banks can't really take advantage of you in a lot of these ways. But with business credit cards, that's not the case because the government says, well, these businesses, they can fend for themselves. They can figure it out. We only care about keeping people safe, because businesses, like they can figure it out. But what that basically means is that banks have a lot more leeway in terms of hitting you with random fees and raising your interest rates without warning you and basically just penalizing you for whatever they want to. So you have to, most banks aren't going to do that. Okay, if you bank with a big bank, if you get a credit card from like Chase or American Express or whatever, like the big guys, they're not going to do that. Okay, like they have a reputation on the line. But if you're going with a really small bank or credit union to get this business card from, you just want to watch out and make sure that they're not kind of taking advantage of you in a lot of these ways, because they can potentially just raise interest rates on you without warning you. They can charge you exorbitant fees for things that might not make any sense. So you got to keep that in mind and just know that like there is that potential. But if you're banking with a big bank, it's not really something to worry about. So here's the bonus juicy info that you were promised. Okay, how do you open a credit file for your business? Because if you just start a business, it's different from just being born and having a social security number and having a credit file. Businesses don't just do that, okay? When a business is incorporated, when you file the LLC paperwork, it doesn't open a credit file for your business. Now, like I said before, there's 3 credit bureaus for businesses, okay? There's Dun & Bradstreet, there's Experian, there's Equifax. And with Experian and Equifax, it's actually really easy because once you have a credit card that reports to one of those bureaus, then the credit file will be opened automatically. Now, the one that's important though is Dun & Bradstreet. Okay, this is like the main one that you want to be thinking about. And for Dun & Bradstreet, you have to manually open a Dun & Bradstreet account, and that is done by obtaining a DUNS number. That's DUNS number. And it's really easy to get one of these things, but you have to make sure you do this before you get a business credit card, because if you get a business credit card, you don't have a DUNS number, then that business credit card is not going to be building your business's credit, okay? And the credit file just won't even be open until you get this DUNS number. So it's really easy to do, it's free, and basically all you want to do is just go to Google and type in free DUNS number. DUNS, like DUNS, all caps, free DUNS number. Make sure you go to dnb.com. That should be the beginning of the URL, because there's a bunch of people that'll try to sell you a DUNS number. You don't need to buy one. You can get one for free. So just go to dnb.com. And then there you can basically just fill out a form and they'll get you a DUNS number within the day. Super duper easy to do. And then once you have that, you can then monitor your business's credit, and you don't need to like give this number to anyone when you're applying for cards. It's just like associated with your business. And then whenever you apply for a business card with that business, it'll be associated with the DUNS number. But you just got to make sure that you do this, because if you don't do this, then you won't have a Dun & Bradstreet credit file. Very, very important if you want to eventually stop signing that personal guarantee. If you want to start building credit for your business, you want to have one of these established, and it's super easy to do. Now, the next thing you should do is click the subscribe button down below so that you can be notified of tomorrow's video, where we're going to be going over how to actually get approved for a business credit card. And check out this video over here where I review one of my favorite credit cards in the game. Have a wonderful day. See you in the next one.